Hey guys, CharrChan here, or Tricerobat, same person. Today's video I thought we would look at the official Yugi Nendoroid compared to the bootleg version. I just bought the bootleg version a couple months ago and it took a while to get here because it's coming from China. It just got here and I got it so that I could make a custom Yu-Gi-Oh! Nendoroid. I want to make regular Yugi as opposed to Yami Yugi. So that's why I bought the bootleg version. I've had the real version for a while. Anyway, enough rambling, let's go and look at the two figures. So here we have the official Yugi Nendoroid. I love this thing. It is... I'm tempted to say it's my favourite Nendoroid. I absolutely love it. But anyway, here's the official one. And here's Bootleg. As you can see, there is a huge difference between them. And yes, from a distance, I'm sure it'd be fine. But when you get up close, you kind of see the problems. Like, look at those face differences. Look at how different those faces look. I don't know how the bootlegs do it, but the bootlegs always manage to have this look about their face. Wait, let me go and get a certain figure. This is an official figure, but his face is being compared to a bootleg. And you know, putting him next to a bootleg, he looks brilliant! I mean, by the way, this is the Furyu Noodle Stopper Yugi, and his face has had a lot of criticism. But for anyone who has been criticising his face, which includes myself, just have a little comparison to our friend Bootleg Yugi Nendoroid here. I think you've redeemed yourself, Bootleg looking Yugi. You look okay now. By the way, I have a whole unboxing video of the Yugi Noodle Stopper and I love this thing. So yes, I think what makes the bootleg faces look so bootleggy is just the eye placement on this Nendoroid is a little bit too high and the mouth is this bright red colour. As you can see, the official Nendoroid, his eyes are a little bit lower set and his mouth is a kind of pale, well not pale, but it's like a more muted brownish red. It's not, jumping out at you like this bright red thing. I mean, what's he been eating? Anyway, you can also see that the paint job in the eyes, well, you might be able to see if I bring them a bit closer, and if my camera will focus. So the eyes, they look okay from a distance, and they look okay up close too. There's not much that can go wrong when you've copy and pasted someone else's design and slapped it on your own product. But when you get down to the details, let me remove the fringes, that might help. That might help to see the faces. Bootleg Yugi's fringe is a little bit stiff to remove, but that's okay. Alright, there we go. Now they look kind of like, what's his name? Gon from Hunter x Hunter. That's what I think these look like now. Anyway, so the eyes, they look okay. There's nothing too wrong with them. But when you start looking a bit more closely, you can see there's a couple of problems here, like the highlight in the corner here on the bootleg version is actually purple. It's bled into the colour beneath it and has turned a little bit purplish. You might not be able to see it on camera, but it is there. Aside from that, the quality of the actual paint job itself is a little bit lackluster. I mean, when you start looking at it like with a magnifying glass kind of level of inspection, the kind of dotting, which is producing the shading effect, is very obvious in these eyes, whereas with this one it's not so obvious. Anyway, that's the eye paint. There's not much to say really. You can kind of see the lines here. These ones are a little bit more muted to give you a bit more, definition stuff going on, whereas this one is like in your face. You are seeing these lines all of the time, whereas these are muted so you don't pay as much attention to them, if that makes any sense. So yes, there are the two faceplates. By the way, official Yugi's Nendoroid, his faceplates are smaller than other Nendoroid's faceplates. That's just, to keep his head in proportion with the rest of his body with his massive hairdo. Bootleg Yugi's faces are actually smaller than official Yugi's, but also the faceplates work differently. I don't know if I just mentioned this, but the bootleg versions of Nendoroids are oftentimes using the old mechanism for Nendoroid heads. I've never had a Nendoroid with this mechanism before, but I know how it works. It's pretty obvious how it works. You take the entire head off, you slot your new head on, and then you put it all back together. Whereas with this one, you just have to take off the fringe, pop the face off, put the new face on, fringe on, done. Speaking of fringes, let's look at the fringes, because I'm sure there are some differences. You know, there's not actually that big of a difference between the fringes. I mean, you can't go wrong with a bit of yellow plastic, can you? The only real difference I can see is that the lines that, you know, Yugi has these like cartoon lines on parts of his fringe, and they are more well defined in the official figure, whereas in the bootleg figure they've kind of got a little bit lost. They're still there, but they're a bit faded out, if anything, so yes. From the back, there's not much to say really. This has skin-coloured pegs to not cause any paint transfer, whereas this one just has, you know, paint. Yes. Okay, right. By the way, when I customize this Yu-Gi-Oh! Nendoroid, I'm going to remove these little hair pieces. I'm going to chop this out, and then we're going to have to make that little lightning bolt fringe piece that Yugi has, so that's going to be fun. I'll also have to plug up some of these holes, maybe? Maybe. We will see. We'll work it out when we get there. Let's have a look at his other faceplates. I can't be bothered to go and get the official one's faceplates because they're in his box, and I can't be bothered, to be honest. You don't know, let's go and get it. Let's go and get it. We're putting effort into this video. So I've got my box here. I'm going to go over very quickly how to identify, most of the time, identify a real Nendoroid box. Granted, there may be some exceptions, you know, sometimes bootlegs can be really good, but this one is an official Yu-Gi-Oh! Nendoroid, so other people have done this, so I'm not going to spend too long, but things to look for, generally, are the GoodSmile Company logo. That's normally removed in bootlegs, but, you know, GoodSmile Company logo, a sticker, a physical sticker that has been stuck onto the product is usually a good sign. The Yugi ones tend to have this NAS logo. I don't have a clue what this actually is, what company this is, but that's usually on there. And also real Nendoroids tend to have this printed on little text on the plastic window, so those are things to look for. Also on the back of the box, there will generally be, if you ignore this sticker, there will generally be links to the GoodSmile websites and, you know, all the health and safety information, whereas bootleg versions tend to, you know, edit all of that out. So that's generally what a real Nendoroid box should look like. Granted, older Nendoroids can sometimes have different looking boxes, so, you know, be cautious, make sure you do your research on the products that you want and all of that fun stuff. So, with all that being said, let's have a look at Yugi's faceplates and compare them with the real ones. By the way, when I got my bootleg version of this, it was taped all the way around the seam to, you know, pop the blister packet open. It was so hard to get into. But the real one will be quite easy to open normally. Flung his hands. Okay. Right. If I put his hands back where they meant to be, it should be okay. Get hold of your cards, Yugi. There we go. Can you tell which is the bootleg? Because it's this one. So I'm going to go over these differences very quickly because, you know, I don't want to ramble on too much. So the bootleg one has some lipstick on his teeth. He's got a bit of paint bleeding. And the colours between the two. The official one has this muted pink in the mouth, whereas this bootleg one has a very vibrant salmon colour going on in his mouth. It doesn't look bad, it's just different. So those are the two shouting faceplates. Then we have the frowning faceplate. The bootleg one has this red mouth again, and also a dirt on his face. He's got a dirty face, which is not ideal. He's also got a white paint speck next to his eye, but you know, whatever. And then the official one, obviously looking a bit more clean here. Not much to really say about them. Although you can see, interestingly, that the bootleg face is smaller, which, to be honest, I think is kind of expected. If I'm right about this, I believe that they just take a cast of the official one and then they, you know, mold it. Or maybe they are just using a generic faceplate that they have. It's just a little bit smaller and they're just painting on the same design. I'm not sure how they make the bootlegs. Kinda interesting though. Well, let's go over all the other parts while we're here. So we have the official pointing hand and the bootleg one. You know, it's kind of difficult to show you on camera that they are kind of different, but this one's got seam lines all over the place, whereas this one has better cleaned up seam lines. Also, this one's just got plastic roughness around it, and this one's nice and smooth. This is the hand he uses to hold the Millennium puzzle, and you know, this arm from the bootleg is actually okay. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. Obviously the official one is a little bit more clean. So here is the bootleg holding the fan of cards version. His fingers look so short and stubby. I mean, yes, he is a chibi, but they look exceedingly short and chubby on the bootleg version, whereas on the official version they're a little bit more clean and defined. The cards are different as well. They are a bit smaller on the bootleg version, and also the paint's a bit different. The colours aren't bad. I don't mind the colours, but you know, the paint job's a little bit skew-whiff in it. And oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. So this is the official one. There's no detail on the back, whereas the bootleg one's actually gone the extra mile and painted details on the back. That is interesting. Huh. Well, honestly, now I'm impressed with the bootleg. Anyway, as you can see, the general look of the arms, the paint job on the bracelet of the bootleg is a little bit scruffy, whereas the real one is nice and clean. And then we have the other straight arm, which comes default on Yugi himself. You know, the bootleg one's scruffy looking paint job, the real one, nice and clean. So both the bootleg and the official Nendoroids come with a spare neck peg, which is wonderful, very much appreciated. But as you can see, the bootleg one doesn't have any kind of logo going on, whereas the official one has a little smiley face because it's from the GoodSmile company. So that's how you can tell if it's an official neck peg versus a bootleg one. They both function the same. They're both about the same size as well. I think they are pretty much the same size. But the official one is obviously higher quality, and the bootleg one feels like it could break. I mean, if you look down there, the seam line, that's kind of got a gap in it, whereas the official one does not. So, yes. I am scared that the neck peg on the bootleg one will break, but you know, I could always replace it with an official one, because I've got a few of these, so yeah, there you go. And both of the Nendoroids, official and bootleg, came with this piece, and they look about the same, to be honest. This piece goes into his back and connects his coat to him. I don't really use this piece though, because it doesn't work on the stand how I would like it to. So, yeah. Oh, there's an interesting thing. Both pillars on the official one are hexagons, whereas on the bootleg one is a circle and one is a hexagon. Anyway, there we go. Oh, he just looks so dinky. It's quite funny. It is quite funny. It's also very surreal seeing them both together. I don't know what it is, but it just looks very surreal looking at them both stood next to each other. Anyway, I want to talk about the Millennium puzzle because it's quite interesting actually. Ooh, let's take off his head, it's quite stiff. There we go. So yeah, you can see here how that mechanism works. You have to take his head off to take the faceplate off. Anyway. So the chain on this bootleg one is so short. Like, look how short that is. Can't even fit that around my finger. But anyway. I am impressed with the level of detail that this has. I thought that this would be, you know, just like a plastic triangle. But honestly, the detail on this Millennium puzzle is quite nice. I mean, it's quite nice, you know? Didn't expect it. The chain definitely should be longer. I mean, this chain is ridiculously short. It barely fits around his neck. I am going to replace this. Although we've got like a massive jump ring. Look at that massive jump ring it's got. It's quite funny. So yeah, tiny Millennium puzzle, but also equally tiny chain. Versus the official version. Now let's get him off there and take his head off, which is not too stiff, but there we go. So here is the official Millennium puzzle. Let's get the bootleg one next to it so we can kind of compare. They use very slightly different shades of gold paint, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the shade of gold that the bootlegs used. The bootleg one is slightly smaller, but you know, that's fine. We have kept most of the detail, which is impressive. I thought we would lose all of the detail, but we've actually kept some of it, or most of it, which is quite nice. I'm trying to hold these. These are so small, it's difficult to hold them. You know, maybe we're a little bit wonky on one side here and there, but that's okay. It's fine. I mean, what can you expect? I mean, this thing's tiny. You're not going to be looking at it this close up too often, are you? But I do appreciate the level of detail in both of these. Granted, this one is just a cast of this one, so of course it's going to have some of the same detail. But it is quite a lot smaller. Can you kind of see it's quite small? Anyway, those are the Millennium puzzles. This one needs a much longer chain. This is much better. This one has the world's tiniest jump ring. This is the official version. Look how tiny that jump ring is. It really does blend in with the rest of the chain, which is quite nice. So appreciate that, GoodSmile company. Oh, also while we have his head off, let's have a look at the body. Let me put this neck peg in so we can kind of compare how the neck peg looks in the body, because I think that's quite interesting. Oh, his legs have fallen off again. Oh dear. Oh no. He's dropping his little card. Oh no! Alright, so here we have the official body versus the bootleg one. He's got a hair painted into his shirt on the bootleg one, which is interesting. Anyway, can you kind of see that the neck peg in the bootleg version looks bigger than the official one? And that is simply because the body is physically smaller than this one. So, yeah. Anyway, in terms of paint job, it's, you know, it's not great. It's just paint in it. The bootleg one is a little bit scruffy in the paint job department, whereas the official one is quite nice. I mean, I've said that so many times. I am impressed with the bootleg one's attention to detail on these little silver dots. I mean, I thought we were going to have horrendous paint jobs, but honestly, the little silver dots on his belt are quite nice. Well, they're not brilliant, but they are quite nice on the bootleg one. Obviously much better and much cleaner on the official. But I do appreciate the effort. Oh, my foot's gone numb. Oh no! Oh, I'm gonna have pins and needles. And obviously on the choker necklace he's got on, it's scruffy on the bootleg, nice and clean on the official. Let's have a look at those jewel discs. Once again, nice and clean, scruffy. But they did use metallic paint, which is nice. I think here you can kind of see that bootleg Yugi's legs are quite wonky. I think that they are just, they're wonky. It's not a matter of positioning, they are literally just wonky. Oh, while I've got his legs up close, you can kind of see that the official one does have that smiley face going on in the joint there. You can kind of see it there, whereas the bootleg one does not. I'm gonna have to find a way to strengthen the connection between his torso and his legs because, I mean, yeah. Whereas the official one, you can shake him all day and he won't fall off. But yeah, I'm gonna have to find a way to fix that. I'm sure I can find something. I don't want to glue them together because the torso and legs are separable, so you can pose him and you can mix and match clothes. So that is why they are removable. Let's have a look at the coat as well. There you go. There really is not much to show on the coat. I mean, that's it. that's it. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think they put his sleeves on backwards. They put his sleeves on backwards. Not backwards, they put them in the wrong holes. So, this is the left sleeve. That is the right sleeve. That's the right sleeve, and this is the left sleeve. Well, I guess if you turned it round, it would be the other correct way. So, that's why it looks off, because they put the things in the wrong holes. Yeah, that's quite funny, actually. They have actually put the sleeves in backwards, or in the wrong holes. But you know, it's not that noticeable. It's not much of a problem, is it? So yes, that was the bootleg Yugi Nendoroid. Let's put them back together so they're not just lying on the ground dismembered. Regardless of if they are bootleg or not, Nendoroids are still a little bit finicky to put together. A lot of people say they hate it, but honestly I don't mind it. I'm okay doing like fiddly little tasks like this. I know a lot of people hate filming Nendoroid unboxings because of all the little parts and stuff, but you know, I don't think I'd mind it. I don't think I've ever filmed a Nendoroid unboxing, but I will have a Nendoroid unboxing in a few months when my pre-order arrives. Anyway, so there's Yugi back together. And let's put other Yugi back together. Get in there. Oh, there we go. Oh, I forgot to put his necklace on. No! Well, oh well. Let's just put it around his wrist. I can't be bothered to put that on his neck. Anyway, so. Okay. There we go. So, would I recommend buying the bootleg Yugi? No, I wouldn't. I mean, his paint job on his hair isn't that good either. Can you kind of see that it's... He's got, like, lines to guide the painters to show where his hair should be. And they've just completely missed the mark, haven't they? But yes. I do not recommend the bootleg Yugi. If you're gonna buy a Yugi or Nendoroid, I promise you, saving up for the real thing will be so much better than, you know, buying a bootleg. So I know that these bootlegs are much more affordable for a lot of people, and they seem like a good idea at the time, but I promise you that most of the time, bootlegs lead to disappointment, because I have been there. My first anime figure that I purchased as a 12-year-old, I'm 21 right now if you're curious, but as a 12-year-old I bought my first anime figure, and I didn't know what bootlegs were at the time. And I bought it, and I was so excited, and it arrived, and well, let me show you. Here's Hatsune Miku. Do you see anything missing? Well, yes, her pigtail snapped off within 5 minutes of me having her. And yes, she is very dusty because I threw her in a box and I don't look at her because, you know, she's broken. I did have a lot of fun playing with her when I was younger. I mean, she's got all these joints. She's a Figma bootleg. Figmas are really cool. I don't collect them. This is the only Figma I have. But anyway, point is, she was not worth my £13.50 as a small child. I may as well have saved up and got myself something a bit better, you know? Honestly, I don't think I would even recommend a bootleg Figma for a custom. Nendoroids are okay for customs because they're pretty simple in how they work. They don't have lots of joints. Whereas the Figmas, their joints in the bootlegs are so fragile. I mean, look, this just snapped off, didn't it? Let me show you her neck peg, actually. Can you see her neck peg? Can you see how it's coming apart? You can kind of push it back together sometimes. But, yeah, that is just, like, going to snap kind of deal there. So yes, bootleg Figmas are not recommended at all by me. Don't buy them, they suck. Unless you're gonna do like a comparison video, I really don't recommend a bootleg Figma. So yes. Hatsune Miku, my first anime figure that I bought, thinking it was going to be so cool, and then she arrived and I got this. Don't buy bootleg Figmas. Don't buy bootleg Nendoroids either unless you're going to customise them. I promise you that saving up your £20 for a bootleg Nendoroid is not worth it. Continue saving, get yourself the real one. I promise it's so much more worth it. Just look at him, look at this Nendoroid. Well, I hope I've made my point that, you know, saving up for a real Nendoroid is much more worth it than the bootleg one. And I'm gonna go now because I would like to go and get some lunch. So I'm sure I've been showing you close-ups of whatever this creature is that I've purchased. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna go because I'm very hungry. So thank you so much for watching. Please do not hit the like button as that probably hurts. It's not very nice. If you have any questions about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Nendoroids, feel free to ask me. I'll try and get back to you. Alright, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. Bye!